Let's talk about how to inspect a masonry fireplace, one that's burning wood. Typically, the beginning of that analysis starts on the exterior of the building. Common materials are brick and stone. So what we want to pay attention to is the condition of the chimney, the bricks, the stone, the mortar. We also want to pay attention to the top of the chimney. That's called the cap. If you're able to walk on the roof, you want to get up close to those parts of this chimney to check to make sure there aren't cracks and openings and deterioration of the brick or stone that might lead to a reasonably expensive cost to fix. If you're able to, you should take off, if there's a damper or a spark arrestor on the top, you should take that off and try to look down the interior flues. So the chimney is the structure. The flues, there can be one or multiple flues in a chimney. The flues are what contain the exhaust from the wood-burning appliance. That flue is typically either asbestos or, more often, it's a clay flue. So what you want to look to is to see if you can look down that flue and see if there's any cracks, spalling, deterioration. Sometimes multiple pieces are put together to create an entire flue. Look for mortar joints in those connections that might be gone or cracked and leaking. Here's what you're worried about, is the exhaust of that wood fireplace getting out into the chimney. It has to be contained in the flue. I'm going to say that the flue, if it's bad, is expensive. There's lots of different methods of correcting that problem, but if you can't see down that flue and see every important aspect of the lining in there, you want to put that into your report. Example, 70% of the flue is not visible to me. Sooty flue tiles, unable to see the tile themselves. Make sure again that the customer is aware of the limitations to your seeing that flue if that applies. Once you're done inside, eventually you're going to go to the room that has that fireplace in it. What you want to do is look up from the bottom, just like you did from the top. And what you're doing is looking to the condition of the damper, making sure it works, and then the condition of the smoke shelf and the flue. Now, you are only able to see a portion of it outside. You may see all of it or just another small portion from the inside. Be sure and put in your report how much of the entire flue you saw and how much you didn't. Otherwise, you could have a problem. Again, cracked flue tiles are unsafe to burn. Now, in the old days, they actually had unlined chimneys. There was no flue inside. The chimney was the flue. So you might see chimneys that are entirely brick on the inside. If that old chimney was 1 wide thick, 1 brick thick, it's unsafe to burn. It would have to be 2 or 3 wide thick in order for that to be safe to continue to burn that as a wood-burning fireplace. Keep in mind, too, that when you have lined chimneys, there has to be an offset. Otherwise, you're going to get backdrafting coming into the room that fireplace is located. So as you're looking at the interior lining from the bottom up, pay again attention to soot. If you look at the face of the fireplace and there's smoke damage on the face of the bricks or stone right above the firebox opening, that's telling us that that system is backdrafting. It's not your job to tell them why, but it is your job to tell them that's not okay, because you're again getting reburning of exhaust products. And I just want to remind you that's one of the ways you create carbon monoxide in the home. There has to be a non-combustible hearth in front of the firebox, depending on how big the firebox is, will dictate whether it has to be 16 inches or 20 inches. It also is common to see some sort of combustible, like a wood mantle, around the bricks of that firebox opening. The combustible mantle has to be at least 12 inches above the firebox opening and 6 inches to the sides. Although this isn't always used continuously by the homeowner, it is an important part of the house. That's probably one of the reasons why they purchased it, so they could have a wood-burning fireplace. And if they find out it's bad, and you didn't tell them about it, and you didn't disclose that you couldn't see certain things, they're not going to be happy about that when they start to see what that repair bill would be.